In this podcast, I will be interviewing Pritipaul Singh Jr.
You definitely have determination in wanting to achieve your goals. I think it's a very big skill set that most business owners have to acquire. It's not something that you're born with. It's definitely something that has to be developed. So making sure that you can stick to commitments, timelines, getting things done within a short deadline, and even operating in that square box that you're in.
Pritipaul will be sharing his secrets to success as an entrepreneur. What are your top 3 things that made you successful in business, and how can others follow in your footsteps?
3 things that made me really successful as a business owner. First of all, I have to go with grit and determination. You definitely have to have that determination in wanting to achieve your goals. I think it's a very big skill set that most business owners have to acquire. It's not something that you're born with. It's definitely something that has to be developed. So making sure that you can stick to commitments, timelines, getting things done within a short deadline, and even operating in that square box that you're in under immense pressure and still getting those timelines done. So determination and getting your goals achieved is one. The second would be you must have a vision. You must have a vision to know where you want to go. Whether that vision is within 6 months or a year. Ultimately speaking, when I started my business, all I had a vision was for 1 year. Now I have a 30-year vision of what my company should look like. So it doesn't debar you from thinking very far on in the early stages, but as you develop your business, your vision grows over a longer period of time, and you have a much more clarity. The third thing that made me really successful is, and still is, my relationship and the work that I would have done to develop the relationship with the people that work within our business. And that has a lot to do with becoming emotionally elevated in understanding human intelligence. And if I were to say that, people to follow, I think the sequence should be vision first, determination second, and then having to build those relationships, because whether it be relationships with your clients, relationships with your team, relationships with other stakeholders that have some positive effect within that ecosystem, it's important to be able to have that relationship building and the intelligence to really set well in decision making with the multiple people that you're in contact with. So yeah,
it's very interesting. You mentioned that nobody is born with that grit and determination. Luckily, so we all have a chance to learn those skills. Was it easy or was it difficult to build upon those skills?
I particularly believe it's easy once you challenge yourself. There's a really interesting movie where a coach put a blindfold on American footballer's face, and he told him you can get to the halfway mark. It's just keeping in your mind, how do you get to 50 yards or 60 yards? By the time he took the blindfold off, he was on the other side of the football field.
Yeah,
it's all perspective. Whatever you tell yourself you will achieve, you most likely will achieve it. But if you keep adjusting to negative connotation, you're going to get negative feedback. So keep applying the positivity in the words you use and the actions you portray, and in the things you do, you will get positive results.
What made you decide to get into this business?
At the age of 16, I was finished with high school, and I started out working with my dad in the seafood export business. So we had our own vessels. I worked with my dad for about 11 years, and I saw a really distinct opportunity to get into the maritime business, where we're right now repairing vessels. I said to myself, I would like to be someone that, yes, I do come from a wealthy background, but I also want to earn my stripes as well. So I thought it would be a really good opportunity with what's taking place in Guyana right now and everything else to jump on that bandwagon. What we did was to be able to leverage the asset that we have, which is the dry dock. And we were able to get our first client, starting with zero revenue. And now we're a really successful business, and it's just been a really wild ride, but I've enjoyed every second of it.
How did you personally have to grow or what did you most of all have to learn to create the success in your business?
The first part that I mentioned was you ought to know, as a business owner, you ought to know your business. You have to fundamentally know every single thing that there is. You don't necessarily need to know it to every minute detail, but enough to make sense that you can make decisions off of. The second part was I did not realize how important learning was as part of being a business owner. Most times, at least in Guyana, for all I know, business owners are the end all and know all of every situation. So having a deeper appreciation of learning continuously was something that I did not realize that I needed, even though I actually love learning. That I think is fundamentally what I believe made that process so easy. So the continuous learning is what adds value to obviously any business owner once they sign on to that process.
Is there one particular area that you had to grow more or learn more about to become the business owner that you've become?
Fundamentally, especially working with Actioncoach, there is definitely the management perspective, the sales perspective, having a different overview of how you should look at your business. What really topped it all off for me was understanding human intelligence. That made a huge difference because it allowed me to look at everything from an empathetic perspective, understanding what other people feel, but not necessarily feel what they feel. So obviously knowing the difference between sympathy and empathy, but then also using that as a business owner to help build your team. Because most cases as a leader in business, you always think that your job is to come in, sign the checks, and then leave, or tell someone to do this, that, and the other. It's now, for me, what I realize is, where is it that I want to have my team? Because I think, the definition that I love for business that Brad talks about is a profitable enterprise that works without you, right?
Right.
And if it works without me, it means that I'm creating more opportunities for other people to grow within my business. Right. And if we're going to move Arthur from project management perspective to getting him to be the CEO of the company, what is the gap analysis that we need to do to get him to build? So fundamentally understanding that process really took it to a different level. So that's what I believe, is something that adds major value apart from just the fundamentals behind business.
And that's a wrap for today's epic conversation here on Epic Entrepreneurs. Huge thanks to our amazing guests for their pouring their heart into sharing their journey. If you enjoyed this episode, hit that subscribe button, leave a review, share it, or hit that bell. But until next time, let's make sure you keep dreaming, take massive action, and stay epic.